Okay, here we are at lesson 6.5, going through example number 1, or example number 4 here. Write a number in standard form that's already in trig form. We know it's in trig form because it has r here, the cosine of theta plus I sine theta. And our job is to change it back into a plus bi form, which is standard form. We know that a equals r cosine theta, b equals r sine theta. So to find a is going to be the square root of 8 times the cosine of negative pi over 3, and b is going to be equal to the square root of 8 times the sine of negative pi over 3. Well, now I have to find the cosine of negative pi over 3. So I'll just draw a little angle here. We know negative pi over 3 is in the quadrant here with a pi over 3. We know opposite pi over 3 is also known as 60 degrees, so it becomes square root of 3 goes here, 1, and there's 2, and there's our right angle for our triangle. And so now for the cosine of negative pi over 3, it's going to be adjacent 1 over 2, so it's square root of 8 times a half, which makes square root 8 over 2. However, the square root of 8 does simplify, because it is 2 times 2, or sorry, 4 times 2, and so it makes it, let's write that a little neater for you, would be square root 4 times 2, so it's going to give me 2 square roots of 2 over 2, which cancel, so a is equal to the square root of 2. Notice the cosine of negative pi over 3 is positive a half, because we're in the fourth quadrant. For the sine of negative pi over 3 is going to be opposite square root of 3 over hypotenuse 2, and we know it's negative because sine is negative in the fourth quadrant. Now I'm going to multiply 8 times 3 to get the square root of negative square root 24 over 2. So now for 24, I know it's the same as 4 times 6, which is 2 square roots of 6. So I have negative 2 square root of 6 over 2. 2's cancel. Therefore, b is negative square root of 6. So my final answer in the form of a plus bi is going to be for a, square root of 2, minus square root of 6i. And there's the answer to the problem, changing it to standard form. Go ahead and try number 47 out of your book. I went ahead and wrote A and B for you, and press pause so you can figure it out. Okay, now that we're back, A is r cosine theta, so A equals 2 times the cosine of 120 degrees, and B equals 2 times the sine of 120 degrees. Well, to find the sine and cosine of 120 degrees, we draw the angle. There's 120. The reference angle is 60. And so it's 1 to 2 to the square root of 3. The cosine of 120 is 1 over 2, and it's going to be negative 1/2 because cosine is negative in the second quadrant, and so it makes a equal to negative 1. For the sine of 120, it's opposite square root 3 over 2, and it's going to be positive because sine is positive in the second quadrant. The 2's cancel, leaving b equal to the square root of 3. So in the form of a plus bi, I have negative 1 plus square root of 3i is the answer there for number 47.